Tears of Gaia by Redback Spino. Chapter 24. The Calm Before the Storm.
Muggles, depressurize, take 5, quickly!
The white-haired Blything grumbled to himself as he set to work, twiddling a few valves and dials at the base of one of the master tanks in the Allfather's room. It had only been his first day and night at his new job, and he hated every second of it. The bloated monstrosity in the tank had heaped every menial task there was upon him, from maintaining an even concentration of the black blessing in each tank, to cleaning the gunk out of the older machinery, even dusting and cleaning the room itself.
How much of this is regular work around here, he thought to himself, and how much of this is just him doing this to spite me? President Regular, sire.
He spat as the dials on the panel all lowered to what was a safe level. For all of his griping and moaning about his menial job, he was still a fast learner and an even faster planner. Just from one day of working on the machinery that maintained the Allfather, he had deduced a few things. For example, he knew that the creatures fed off the smoky black blessing that was piped up from the source below the tower. Whatever he had been before, he was bound to the machine. The Allfather was the closest anybody could actually come to talking directly to the Blight itself. He was the head, the face, and voice of the Blight. He was in complete control of several of the lower Blythings, and even the more intelligent Blythings. He had at least had a low-power psychic link. In short, he held supreme power over the entire Blight, and it made Mogul sick. That bloated, corpulent wreck of a creature in command of him, heaping endless mindless chores on him, mocking and spitting at him at every turn. He might be the Allfather, but he was still nothing more than a meat puppet, some lucky creature who was chosen all those years ago to be the host for the Blight. He gritted his teeth with barely contained fury.
Why should he be the one?
His train of thought was interrupted, however, as there came a knocking on the iron doors of the room.
You better,
the Allfather boomed. The doors swung open, and in strode two Blythings dressed in scaly armor and short black capes. Molgoth groaned with recognition as he remembered the two. They were officers serving here at Brazaka. When he held his former position, they were the same rank as him.
Allfather, we bring news,
one of them barked, smartly saluting.
One of our watchtowers spotted a small group of griffins flying just off of here. Looks to be a scouting party, sire. We drove them off before they got too close to us, too.
Then they are close,
burned the Allfather.
Are our children prepared?
The other nodded.
Yeah, sire. Rested, armed, and ready to fight. Shall we begin setting upon the walls?
Yes, we shall anticipate the attack tomorrow.
No doubt, our scouting party will be back to reporting to
the masters as we speak.
Soon we go after them, one officer said.
Let them go. What can they tell them other than our fortress stands firm and ready for whatever comes? And if they were only glanced by our watchtowers, I guess they don't know about our guests.
Molgoth noticed both officers shivering uneasily at the mention of the beast that awaited, imprisoned inside the tower.
Sire, are you sure you want to use them? I mean, we've given them the black blessing. No dose is big enough, but they're completely wild.
The voice from the tank laughed. A laugh that sounded like thunder blended with the crumbling stone.
Do not worry, my sons. They will fight for us when the time comes. Their hatred and ferocity is unrivaled by any creature in this world. And we'd imagine the first thing they would want to do is be free from our stronghold. So, we let them loose, let them flee from the fortress, and face first straight into the enemy's army.
On when they are done disposing of the enemy, what then?
The second officer asked.
We can concentrate our efforts upon them then. With the combined power of an entire army, they will be under our control soon enough. Speaking of which, are our little guests hungry for a fight?
The first officer nodded.
They are rather entirely hungry, sire. Haven't been fed in over a week now. I imagine a few hooffuls of griffins and deer would be mighty appetizing to them right now. We shall find out soon enough, the second officer replied. If the scouts have already reached here, they can't be far away. So, your orders, sire.
The Allfather was silent for a moment, then mumbled,
See to it that every one of our children is fed and rested. The attack will begin at daybreak tomorrow. So I ensure that everyone is well prepared. Otherwise, stroke the fires and light this fortress up to bolster our defenses. And see that our little Gaias are prepared. And then simply await the attack.
Both officers bowed in reply and turned to leave the room, but one of them paused as he passed by Markov, who was standing to the side of the doorway. Hang on, about. Don't I recognize you?
Oh, just kill me now.
Markov thought with a cringe.
Yeah.
The other officer grinned as he joined his armored corps.
You're Markov, right? That commander who was part of the attack on the forest? Well, look at you now, eh? I mean, I knew you and decided to botch that attack pretty badly, but this, getting demoted to being a sword beast? Well, you must have really screwed things up.
The Blythe ground his teeth and scuffled the floor with a forehoof as the officer's words bit him like a knife. Less than 2 days ago, he had been a respected soldier and officer in his own right. Were these officers so quick to deride one of their own? After mocking him some more, the officers finally left, chuckling to themselves about Markov's new status, which no doubt would become the talk of the stronghold before the night was over. For creatures as vile and monstrous as a Blythling horde, they were strangely adept at gossiping. The slam of the iron doors echoed through the vast room as the Allfather spoke.
Come now, Muggles. Come back to our work. Son.
Markov rolled his eyes and got to scrubbing the crusty grime and gunk that caked the tanks. It was becoming more and more apparent that cleanup duty was not a regular thing for most servants here.
Allfather, can I ask you something?
As long as you keep working while you do so, we see no harm in it.
Markov dutifully kept scrubbing as he asked,
So, how exactly did you end up with that host body? Like, how does one go about becoming the Allfather?
The Allfather was silent for a moment, before chuckling.
Yes, the races are grandeur.
Mogoth!
Well, we wouldn't worry about it. Someone like you becoming the Allfather anytime soon is unlikely, bordering on the impossible.
Yeah, just keep rubbing it in, you old fool.
But I suppose I can tell you. Not long ago, when we were first freed from our stone prison with the Diconquest Discord, we
Were not but an incorporeal force, with no real strength or body to call our own.
So we ended up returning to our place of origin, where they first discovered us all those thousands of years ago. So we waited, biding our time until one fateful day we got lucky and another creature found us. We blessed him with our presence and took control of his body. The first disciple of our campaign to regain our former strength. But before too long, we realized it would be more efficient to spread our blessing to other creatures and bringing them to our vast family. And before long, we had an entire army at our command. And that first creature we blessed, he became our body as you see it now, feeding off the original source of the blight, even to this day, growing stronger with each passing moment, and sharing his strength with every other creature who has accepted our blessing. And if that is what you told us about the gemstone weapon upon those ponies is true, then our children and us will be stronger than ever before soon enough. So, why do you ask?
Markov gave a non-committal shrug.
Oh, just curious, that's all.
The Allfather gave a worry. As Markov got back to work, failing to notice the Blything now wore a grin like which he had not graced his muzzle in a long time.
That's all I need to know, you stupid old weakling.
Meanwhile, only a few miles away from Brzaka, the vast host of Vazir and Savraz's army came to a halt at the base of the small mountain range, and around which lay the massive stronghold, the Griffin scouts had just returned with the reports, and the army was setting up camp. A great sense of tension and anticipation ran rampant through the campsite. The last night before it all comes to a head, the next morning, the deer, griffins, ponies, and all other creatures who had joined the host would go to war. In a ring of particularly large tents in the center of the campsite, the commanders of the army sat together in a council of war. The White Hart sat to represent the deer, while Gellert and Gideon represented the griffins of Vazir, with Rarity not only representing the griffins as well, but her pony friends. Also joining them were Chief Langhoring, who led the antelope herd who had joined him, and the brothers Ziggy and Bowie of the Diamond Dog tribe. Nice. Rarity ensured that she was seated as far away from the Diamond Dogs as far as possible.
So then, you all heard our scouts report from Brazaka,
Gellert said, beginning the meeting.
They weren't able to get very close, but they could clearly see them preparing their defenses. So, it looks like a surprise attack is out of the question.
Whiteheart leaned forward. Well, to be honest, it was never a viable idea to begin with. Brazaka is located at the far end of a valley, surrounded by high mountains. The only way to it is down the valley, straight at it. Did your scouts see any weaknesses?
Gideon shook his head. Not that we know of. The walls are a good 40 feet high all the way around, and with a bailey going out the mountainside to the other wall, only 30 feet high, which surrounds the central tower, and which stretches a good 200 feet into the air. It's an easy guess that's where the source of the blight is.
Which means that is exactly where we are aiming for. Alright, Langhoring replied. And from what your scouts have said, it appears we outnumber the enemy, but only by a small number. Maybe 2 to 1 if we are lucky.
In which case, Gellert said, I suggest we split our forces, have most of them direct assault on the fortress, while the rest prepare for a sneak attack.
So, what would be the sneak attack?
Rarity asked. How about us diamond dogs? The seeker grunted.
We dogs can dig onto the mountain, tunnel under the walls, and come up from underground. Keep them busy inside the walls, while you griffins and deer attack from outside and above.
And my antelopes will join you on this covert attack, Langhoring replied. Just be sure to make these tunnels large enough for all of us.
Are you sure you could do it? I mean, even if it would be a volcanic rock you're digging through, that's pretty hard stuff,
Gellert asked. Bowie snorted derisively.
Pah! Please.
Even volcanic rock is no match for diamond dog picks. Yellow-eyed skulls no match either. We break through one, and then they break the other, you see. We won't be under pressure. I'm sorry. My apologies.
Gideon chuckled. Ha ha ha! Good show! So then, we have the first pieces of a plan, it seems. Gordon and I can lead half of the griffins to attack from the skies, clear out the bailey, and keep the monsters on the wall busy. While that's going on, the deer and the other half of the griffins, led by Gellert and Rarity, can attack from the ground to breach the walls, and the dogs and the antelope can attack from underground. Splendid! It might be a bit of a ramshackle, but as it stands, if it all goes to plan, we should hopefully be able to end this battle relatively quickly.
A very good idea. Langhoring added, better to have an attack that is clumsy, but swift from one that is efficient and skillful but drawn out. Less chance of exhausting our troops and supplies. Whiteheart nodded. Agreed. We will have to be swift and to the point. Get past those walls, up to the mountain, get to the tower, destroy the source. This is where it all ends for either us or them. We cannot afford to head back.
Gellert raised a claw. I'd like to ask you a question. Commander Rarity, where will you and your pony friends come into the fight? Will they be fighting at all, indeed?
Rarity nodded.
I had already asked them about this before the meeting. They're immediately not particularly enthused about the idea of participating in a battle, but they certainly want to contribute. I suggest that Twilight, Starswell, and Applejack join me with the ground troops, working on breaching the walls. Rainbow Dash would be more than happy to join the Griffins in the airborne attack, and I think Pinky would be right at home with the underground group.
Bowie scratched his ear.
Why? Is she good at digging or something?
Rarity grinned.
Not necessarily, but once she is inside, I guarantee you she would be the distraction you need to keep those beasts busy while you clear out the inside.
And what about Miss Fluttershy? Whiteheart asked.
Well, I suppose she wouldn't be that much useful in the fight itself. She's a sensitive soul and not really one for violence, but from what I hear, she was rather useful as a healer when your force was under attack, so I think she would be best suited to the medical unit.
I'll see to it that she's kitted up with some first aid supplies,
Gellert replied. For the rest of the meeting, the commanders worked up on strategy they had. ironing out any imperfections or flaws that might crop up. Rarity, for the most part, sat back and listened to what they had in mind. Even after all this time, she was still hardly a strategist. Before she had even gotten caught up in the war, the closest she had done to ever planning a battle or leaving an army was that one time Twilight Sparkle and her brother had somehow convinced her to join them for a game of battle mace. And while she could not help but admire the craftsmanship and uniforms of the tiny painted figures, having to control hundreds of them at once, along with the endless boxes of dice, rulers, counters, and such like, and the absolute doorstopper that was the rule book, filled with complicated charts and statistics, well, needless to say, that after she was thoroughly slaughtered by shining armor and Twilight, she gracefully turned down their offer for a rematch. But as she listened, she did pick up a few strategies and tips. How to fight defensively or offensively, how to defend one's fortress, how to read the enemy's movements and terrain, and many other useful tidbits of information that would no doubt be useful in the day that lay ahead.
So, that's apparently how it's going to happen tomorrow.
Hours later, Rarity was back among her party friends in a little circle of tents. High above them, Luna's gleaming white moon hung in the navy blue sky as they sat around a campfire, eating what would most likely be the last meal they eat until the battle was over.
And I realize that after what we've been through on this whole crazy adventure, spinning up again is hardly our first choice,
Rarity reasoned, slipping her commander's jacket off.
But given our different skills, it seems to make sense that we will work alongside different groups.
Indeed, Starsol said when on, magic users with magic users, flyers with flyers, and so forth. It would be most interesting to see those deal in battle once again. Their magic is quite unlike any I've performed by any unicorn or alicorn.
Plus, if I'm going to be carrying the tears with me, it makes sense to stay far back with the long-range people,
Twilight added, taking the lacquered box out of her bags. With a gentle sigh, she ran her hoof along the edge of the box absent-mindedly.
You alright, Sugar Cube?
Applejack asked. Twilight looked.
Oh yeah, I'm fine, Applejack. I'm just thinking about what Gellert said last night. He does have a really good point about the tears. No pony should have all that power to themselves, and if any one nation were to have it all, you would bet the other nations would get jealous, or nervous about that much power. But what other choice is there?
Fatty asked.
It's not as if you could just share out his power evenly, is it?
No, Twilight shook her head.
As far as I can tell, it's basically that you use all of it, or you don't use any of it. If it wasn't just this one gem, things would be so much easier.
Rainbow Dash shrugged. If all these adventures have taught me anything, it's that when we're dealing with some weird mystical artifact, things are never easy. The ponies laughed.
You know, despite everything that's going on,
Fireside spoke up.
I'm really glad that I'm still with all of you again.
Fluttershy's rat, Applejack said, standing up. I got no idea what's going to happen tomorrow, but I like to think we're going to win. Save the day and be back in Ponyville on our days, but, well, just in case something bad does happen tomorrow, I just want to say, if we're going down, I couldn't have asked for better ponies to be going down with. Rarity stood up as well.
Here! This is probably one of the most dangerous things we ponies have ever done. Certainly up in the top 5 at least. So if the West does come to West tomorrow, then I'd just be like you ponies to know that each and every one of you are the best friends any pony could ever ask for. Even you, Starswell, for as briefly as I've known you.
I'm honored,
he replied with a low bow and a doffing of his white brim hat.
And speaking as a pony who has only known the modern world for a matter of weeks, I'd like to say that most ponies are as kind, brave, noble, and true as you 6 mares. Then this world is in good hands. I can see why Celestia speaks so highly of all of you.
The 7 ponies smiled to each other in silence around the campfire. Rainbow was first to speak. Well, even though I know that we're going to be awesome, kick some major tail, and win this thing tomorrow, she said with a confident grin, I just want you to know I've always been super grateful to have met you girls. Oh, and guys, too. So yeah, nodding to Starswell. We've come this far. So, now let's see this thing to its end! Darton! Cried Applejack, pumping her forehoof in the air.
Here!
Indeed! Boomed Starswell as he flew.
Absolutely! Yes, indeed! Squeaky squeaked with glee. Now come on, every pony! We got a big day tomorrow, so we better get to sleep. Can you have us go into the battle groggy?
So the ponies finished their suppers, doused the campfire, and returned to the tents. All except one.
We'll be right back,
Fluttershy said as he trotted out of the circle of tents.
I just have something to, take care of.
You're wanting to talk to Yarrow? Twilight said with a knowing smirk. Fluttershy blushed, nodding softly. Go on ahead, Applejack called. Say your goodnights to him. I'll keep the lights on till y'all get back. Fluttershy smiled, waving off before heading off to the campsite. In a small campsite not too far away, a circle of light tents were pitched around a now extinguished campfire. Most deer had apparently also retired to their tents for tonight, but Fluttershy breathed a sigh of relief as he saw that one particular stag was apparently still up and about.
Yarrow, is that you?
She called as he entered the campsite. Fluttershy. The stag's antlers lit up with an eerily silver glow, revealing Yarrow's young face. Smiling as he caught sight of the young mare. Ah, this is a nice surprise. Are you all right? She came hesitantly closer.
I'm fine, thank you. I just wanted to see you one last time before, starts tomorrow.
Yarrow nodded. I completely understand. Come, sit down with me a bit. The stars are out, and I was just watching them a bit before heading to bed. Fluttershy smiled back, trotting over to sit down by his side on a soft blanket he had laid down just outside his tent. They gazed up at the clear night sky, where, indeed, the stars had come out full force, dotting the darkness with shimmering points of light.
They are really beautiful,
Fluttershy whispered.
I sometimes go outside my cottage at night back in Ponyville to look at the stars on clear nights like this. They look just so peaceful up there.
That they do, Yarrow agreed. Though it does seem rather odd how peaceful they look, considering what's about to happen tomorrow. I doubt there's been a battle of this scale in the Southlands for centuries. Fluttershy's smile fell a moment as he thought about it.
Oh, Yarrow?
He looked down to her, his eyes meeting hers. Yes. The Pegasus no longer tried to bother hiding the redness of her cheeks.
Well, I wanted to come out to see you because, well, with the battle tomorrow, I don't know when the next time we'll be able to see each other will be.
She could feel the first signs of tears welling in her eyes.
So I just wanted to...
Yarrow put her comforting hoof around their withers, drawing her closer to him. Shh, it's okay. I understand. Actually, I was thinking of coming to visit your campsite tonight, well, for some reason. Fluttershy giggled.
That's nice of you, Yarrow. But what I'm trying to say is, we might not have another chance for a while. So I just wanted to say, Yarrow,
Yarrow watched her face expectantly as he hesitated. He looked up at his smiling face, and her nerve failed him.
I'm sorry, I can't say it.
It's all right, he replied, rubbing her shoulder gently. You can tell me after this whole mess is over.
But what if I can't?
Fluttershy asked, her hoof resting on his head.
What if something were to happen to you, or to me?
Yarrow patted her hoof reassuringly. Fluttershy, I promise you, here and now, you, I, all of your friends will be okay. We're going to get through this battle together, and when it's over, we'll sing our victory songs together. He wiped a single tear from her face. She sniffled.
Promise?
I promise.
Do you pinky promise?
He raised a hoof to reply, but paused. I would, if I knew what a pinky promise was. Fluttershy giggled.
It's a very special promise you can't break. Here, I'll show you. Follow me.
She stood up, and Yarrow did the same thing, before standing up to him. She recited the hollowed pinky promise, doing the most along it.
Cross my heart.
Cross my heart.
Hope to fly.
Hope to fly.
Stick a cupcake in my eye.
She finished, placing her hoof over one eye. He did the same, barely unable to contain his chuckle. Stick a cupcake in my eye, he said. So that's it, then. That's a pinky promise?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, then, he replied, rolling out the blanket. I'll be sure to uphold my promise tomorrow. But for now, I think we both should get some sleep. Fluttershy nodded.
I guess so. So, on Van Vaya, Yarrow,
she said, before turning to leave. He smiled back. Au revoir, mille nien, Fluttershy. Fluttershy bowed once more. Back had started to make her way to the campsite. But a lingering thought struck out her mind. There was something more she had wanted to do, but forgot.
What was it?
Then she remembered. She pressed even harder, her knees giving out for the mere thought of it. Surely she couldn't. Could she? She looked back at Yarrow as he was headed back to his tent.
Oh, come on, Fluttershy. How do you know if you'll have another chance? Yarrow, wait.
He looked up, about to ask her what was up, but he glanced a little more than a muffled whoop as his words were stopped by something warm and soft. Fluttershy's lips against his. He stood rooted to the spot, unable to move or react as Fluttershy stood before him, kissing him full on the lips. Eventually the shock wore off, and he kissed back, eyes slowly closing, feeling as if he was floating away to pure euphoria. For a second that felt like an eternity, they held their kiss, before breaking apart. Both of them ran in the face, unable to look each other in the eye.
Please, come back to me safe.
Fluttershy whispered, finally regaining her speech. Taking to her wings, she fluttered off into the night, barely realizing she was flying backwards in her smitten state, leaving Yarrow dumbstruck and smiling mutely after her. As the exhaustion washed over his body, he regained the use of his limbs and face, breaking into a wide, content grin. "Lo sauvé, Fluttershy," he said aloud. "Grin n'était le lourden like a woman." Well, folks, prepare yourself. Next week,
We're going to war! This one's gonna be for the big ones!